So the news broke today about the Minneapolis Police Department shooting of Amir Locke, a 22-year-old man in Minneapolis, Minnesota, from what I understand. There's a lot of misinformation going around about this, and it's frustrating because every time something like this happens, it's the exact same story that gets told over and over and over again. One headline I actually read, I can't remember the source, but it said Minneapolis police shoot unarmed man with a gun. Or you'll get the other ones where it'll say Minneapolis police shoot man who was sleeping on the couch, or police shoot man who was legally in possession of a firearm. All these details that, and then they also have to throw in that they shoot a 22-year-old black man who was in his home. Or the other major headline is that they shot the wrong guy. He wasn't the one that they were there for. This narrative is so frustrating. I'll take up the last one first, because police never enter a home in order to execute somebody. That's not the reason that they're there. The reason that they were in this home, just like there was one that happened in Las Vegas that I already did a video on that's coming out later this week. They entered the home with a search warrant to search the home and to search everything within that home. They were looking for a homicide suspect. Now, one thing that's going on that I don't really particularly care for with this narrative, and it's the same thing that happened with Breonna Taylor, is that everyone's trying to say that he's just completely innocent, he's never done anything wrong, he just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Well, the police department wasn't searching that apartment for no reason. They were searching that apartment because they were looking for a murder suspect. So there's a reason that this 22-year-old kid was hanging out in the same apartment that a murder suspect was hanging out in. I'm going to be random in this video, I'm sorry, but I've worked the street for a long time. I've worked these inner city high crime neighborhoods for a very long time. I know what the hell happens in these neighborhoods. One thing that I want to point out, people are always happy to dance around the fact that he's just a kid. He had his whole life ahead of him. Well, do you know why it's not police that are out there shooting 45, 50, 55, 60-year-old gangsters? Because they don't freaking live that long. All the gangsters are young kids. Because, and I have this conversation with these kids all the time. You know, people want to hear what a cop is going to say to a young gangster when they encounter him. When I catch 12, 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old kid in a stolen car with guns, with dope, out there pushing hookers and doing all the stuff that these little gangsters are doing, you know, the conversation I have with them, I'm not out there telling them, hey, you need to get back in school and you need to find something that's creative that you're going to love. No, the conversation I have with these kids is that this is going to kill you. You are going to die if you continue along this path. You have almost exclusively two options. You're either going to die or you're going to go to prison. If you die, you have a very high chance of dying out here on the street. And it's not going to be by my hand. These guys, like in the city where I live alone, last year we had 204 homicides. I don't know what the exact proportions are, but a dramatic proportion of those homicides are gang related. A lot of them are juveniles. There was more juveniles killed in my city last year than any other year. Those juveniles weren't killed just because they were laying on the couch doing nothing. They were involved in gang activity. They were involved with selling drugs, pushing prostitutes, stealing cars, murdering people. If you are in the same apartment as a murder suspect and you're sleeping there either with a gun on your chest or a gun so close by that your first instinct is to turn and point it at somebody, just like the one in Las Vegas, I can promise you, you are not an innocent bystander in this situation. I don't know what it is that people can't get through their heads. I don't know why people choose to lie about this. They're lying because when they tell this lie, They're using that to fool more people and gather more people around them so they can have more power for themselves. But when you gain power by telling a lie, that power isn't worth anything. Do people not realize that? Because when the hype is gone, when people can't, like, eventually people are going to be exhausted. Like, you can't keep people at this high pitched angry level forever. It's not going to happen. Eventually these people's adrenaline is going to fizzle out and they're not going to have it anymore. And then your power that you had, that you got by hyping them all up, by telling them that the police are racist and they're just out there killing black people for no freaking reason, it's all going to go away. You have a foundation of nothing. You have no foundation. Well, I don't understand why people are so stupid, for one, to fall for it, but why these people who are trying to get power for themselves are that stupid that they think this is a winning technique. It's frustrating because we see this time and time again. And the people that suffer are the people in these neighborhoods that are plagued by violent crime. Because what you're doing is, there's going to be more stuff that's going to come down the line that's going to hinder the police's ability to go after these people. People who don't live and work in these areas have no idea what's really going on. And they really need to take a moment and reflect about the decisions that they're making and that they're pushing upon these people. Try not to get it, like... Well, I'll address the raid itself for just a second. Because there's this concern for no-knock raids. And I understand when people are talking about hitting dope houses and things like that, depending on the type of case. I understand the concern there, but people don't realize that they serve a purpose. Like, the element of surprise is there for a reason, and there's reasons that the officers need that. When an officer is at a house or an apartment and there is a known murderer inside that apartment, there's good reason that you don't telegraph why you're there. Everybody's seen the news and heard these stories. Like, when people know the police are coming, they can set up. We just lost 2 police officers in New York to this. There were 3 police officers shot in Houston, Texas the other day. The element of surprise is there for a reason. And when you hear loud banging and screaming, police search warrant, and your first reaction is to go for a gun, you are not an innocent party. I'm tired of these kind of lies. And as long as I have a platform, I'm going to come out and speak out against them. So those are my thoughts on the Amir Locke shooting by Minneapolis Police Department.